some of the world's most powerful billionaire oligarchs to his inauguration.
Come here.
The kind of masculine energy, I think, is good. And
yeah.
I think having a culture that like celebrates the aggression a bit more.
Trump has pledged to continue cutting taxes on the rich and on corporations.
Streamers who've massively increased their wealth over the past few years by taking sponsorships from offshore crypto-based online casinos.
Is there a lesson?
Well, he's dead, so...
I'm working on a Buffy deep dive right now, but I had to stop and make this because this issue that we're having is international and it goes all the way down to cultural influences. It's been cooking up for years and we should have talked about it like yesterday, basically. A few days ago, a journalist by the name of Rebecca Shaw released an article with a great title that honestly pissed me off a little bit just because I wanted to be the one to call them losers first. Since like a while ago, the title goes, I knew one day I'd have to watch powerful men burn the world down. I just didn't expect them to be such losers. Ah, beautiful. And clearly they are losers to anyone who paid attention, but I think I need to get everyone up to speed just because I have a feeling that many people are stuck in this embarrassed future billionaire type of mindset. A mindset that not only enables grifters to profit off of millions of people, but also creates progressively unequal, uneducated, and pitiful generations to come. The word loser is not for nerds now, or people who have a bit of a dislike for social situations, or those who prefer STEM fields instead of, being an athlete or something. The emergence of knowledge economy has changed the game in terms of what kind of characteristics have become cool or desirable. But I think there's a huge oversight in our cultural framework that has changed people's interest from becoming smarter and more innovative to appear to be this way as a shield from onlookers, while also extracting resources from people who are actually capable, or those who have no choice but to cooperate with the assholes in question.
I am standing on $5 million.
Might be the most cutthroat thing I've ever done.
Do whatever it takes. There's only gonna be one winner.
Simply put, how did we end up here? I mean, obviously capitalism, but how do we get here culturally speaking? Why are these guys also so visible now? And how can they possibly acquire any following? Even if that following is full of people who are a little bit strange and detached from reality, that for some godforsaken reason can't even pick someone remotely, just surface level cool. I'm not even asking for someone who's actually admirable, just someone who isn't straight up cringe. Someone who doesn't look like his hands are perpetually sticky. Of course, the internet plays a part in the exposure of these guys, but also the fact that a lot of them are involved in social media management, right? All those social media platforms in general, like our guy Zuckerberg. There are many, many shady things that he's done, and there's a lot of content online that you can find that breaks it down. I'm going to link some in the description, but one of the weirdest things about him, at least in my opinion, is that he is incapable of getting out from the spotlight. He's constantly jumping back in to try and be one of the guys and just failing terribly at being even remotely human. And no, I'm not talking about the conspiracy theory, obviously. They desperately want your love and admiration. They want you to think of them as great and, of course, cool. Otherwise, why would a 60-year-old geezer that apparently works so much would be trying to convince the world that he holds some kind of video game record? I mean, please. Regardless, the visibility and legitimacy of these guys obviously come from status seeking that's plaguing the masses. In this current definition of success that has an armor of simple-minded capital worship. A la, well, they're a billionaire and you're working your 9 to 5 to protect them from any type of scrutiny. We are doomed to let more and more people get groomed into thinking that these mad losers are someone to look up to. Innovation, being smart or creative, adjectives that the economy of knowledge really, really loves. They're not actually seen as worthy pursuits unless it generates revenue. And the more, the better, regardless of what kind of impact it has, even if that impact is nothing that anyone with actual brains would sign up for.
Ocean caught fire in the Gulf of Mexico. It looked like the portal to hell opening up.
So, how do so many people, even those that are disproportionately affected by the actions of these lunatics, still believe in this unfounded claims to intelligence, innovation, and altruism? Well, to answer that, I kind of have to quickly show you the stats for Canadian wealth distribution because I am in Canada, just to make sure that you can visualize how many people are splitting the 3% of the wealth that we're talking about, even though they're employed, by the way, obviously. In 2024, the breakdown of wealth in Canada looks like this. I made a little pie chart. So we've got the top 20% of earners in the country. They have 64% of all the wealth in the country. Then there's the middle 40 who have 33%. And then the bottom 40% of the population are splitting 2.8% of the wealth in the country. If you look at the percentages and you just kind of estimate how much it would be if you take half of the population, so 50% instead of 40, the bottom group is splitting about 3.4% of the wealth from the entirety of the wealth in this country. So every second person, if you look around yourself, every second person would be someone who's splitting these 3.4%. Okay, and it's looking pretty similar in America, maybe even a little bit worse. What it basically means is that half of the population is basically sharing crumbs. Mere 3% of the wealth. Many of these people, for some reason, look at the guys who extract that value and try to figure out how to become more like them or to become them, even when they're confronted with these stats. So why did we end up here? To start, we have made every single thing that offers a feeling of basic human dignity, like food, shelter, just being able to wash your ass whenever you need to, a commodity, right? When everything that is a human right or offers simple dignity is locked behind a paywall, which doesn't just exist but becomes higher and higher every single day, a lot of people start to see lack of money as a moral failure because it is stripping the population of this dignities, these rights. And our money worship has changed what we see as social currency. If access to shelter, food, and clothes was accessible to everyone, then these signifiers of wealth like a logo on a bag or an affiliation with an institution would just be that. It would be an indicator of whether someone has a bit more or a bit less money. And that identification would just be instinctual. It would not be a sign of them being smart or important or, and this is the crucial part of this whole thing, good. It's this recent focus on the virtue of a person based on wealth that is so detrimental to social life and development of a new generation. Removing all or most of the ability to move up or earn more based on merit and replacing it with the capacity to forego decency, a la Mr. Beast, is skewing our perception of success from being useful members of society, being rewarded for their contribution, to losers wringing it all.
Speaking of AI, have you seen the market cap of NVIDIA? $3 trillion now. They're the ones making the GPUs that power all of AI. Tens of billions of dollars and give us GPUs. Like NVIDIA can literally just make them and then charge whatever the heck they want.
Hey, for a guy like me who doesn't know what a GPU is, can you help me out?
I mean, I'm also stupid.
But what is a GPU?
I'm not the person to ask.
That's ChatGPT.
It's simply not enough for people like Musk and Zuckerberg to be seen as rich. They want to be considered innovators, leaders, charismatic speakers, you name it, honestly. And the only way they can be seen as any of these things is if the disparity, the wealth disparity, is so bad that no one has the time or the energy to look up and assess the situation beyond their basic human needs. And this is especially exacerbated by the fact that humanities are being undermined, making it impossible for the 99% to sustain themselves long enough in this humanities fields to contribute to the collective consciousness of what the hell those guys are doing to us and to our shaky future. Replace all and every characterization of success with being rich, and every billionaire will claim to be smart and generous and talented, and most of all, because we ourselves don't have a way to signal success outside of wealth and basically just showing wealth off. Many of us will let them claim it. You can be smart, you could be an actual engineer instead of what Musk is, which is a grifter. And yet, if your degree doesn't yield monetary value, and not just normal monetary value, but exceptional monetary value, your legitimate claim to be described as intelligent would be void. I mean, not to everyone, of course, but to many people. Because seeking status is not about being superior to the public based on all these studies, it seems like it's more about trying to build connections with people that you find cool. Yeah, and as adults, as people with formed prefrontal cortexes, it might be easier for us to see past the stacks of bloody money of this billionaire scum. But it's imperative that we point out just how pathetic you have to be to strive to be like these guys. Because younger, more impressionable people can be pushed into these dimensions of pulling yourself by your bootstraps myths. They would be hurting themselves by not understanding why their efforts to make something of themselves, like become a teacher or a doctor, might leave them penniless if they're unlucky. Or, based on latest statistics, if they are just as lucky as an average person. With us legitimizing these spineless freaks, they would also be more likely to move the definition of grifting or screwing people over or being a leech on other people's back further and further. This is exactly why grifters and self-obsessed maniacs that thrive on exploitation like Mr. Beast are seriously mentioned in YouTube conferences as examples of being good content creators or entrepreneurs. And I'm not even kidding. I've seen it with my own eyes when attending talks or participating in YouTube-backed programs. I was actually almost scammed by Creative Juice, a scummy little enterprise that Mr. Beast backed financially and with his name.
What's up? That's the greeting. We repeating.
And I was shocked to see that YouTube doesn't just know about these types of businesses that these big creators are pushing and developing, but they're also promoting them. Or countless talent management companies that flaunt some of the scummiest people imaginable as their star clients when they reach out to sign you. I mean, the culture is sick, and it's sick because we made it that way. If being able to take care of your family is more possible by being a scammer dressed as a content creator, instead of going to school for 9 years to get a degree to become a doctor, how long do you think it's going to take to have more criminals with charity armor on than doctors? You don't even have to answer, actually, because we already know. It didn't take long at all. If you in a Prada suit and you in a t-shirt and jeans without any label on it are two different people, and you feel like there's something missing in terms of the description or the signifiers that speak to the public about you, and you don't feel like it's your real self, if you don't have something of a certain value on you, congratulations, you've been groomed by these losers. Having money is not inherently evil. It's the way that you get that money, and also obviously there are numbers that just don't make any sense, because why the hell would you need that amount of money for any reason whatsoever? If the only options we're presenting to the new generation of kids is be an evil embodiment of 13 going on 30, the ugly logo Viper edition, or never be able to afford your medical bills, well, then we should simply accept the fact that we let losers run the world into the ground, and we just sat down and took it. And to those freaks, I just gotta say, just like that girl who was having a date with Zuckerberg in his social network movie or whatever, I have to make sure that you know why no one likes you. And it's not because of your looks or your nerdy inclinations. It's because your rotten core is bringing this stench of decay to everything you touch. People don't like you because you're an unprincipled piece of shit that's just obsessed with arbitrary signifiers of success, who definitely forgot that he's mortal, just like the rest of us, and life is not that long. And since they decided to make the world a worse version of pre-revolutionary France, with the wealth distribution, we're gonna have to get rid of the 21st century billionaire type if we, the generation that's supposed to have at least 50 more years on this planet, want to have a chance at living decent lives where we don't have to fight for every puff of clean air or fighting to have basic human rights. Anyway, fuck fascists. I'll see you next time with a Buffy deep dive. Bye.